ハワイアンアクセサリーズでは25年以上にわたり本物のコアウッド製品をデザイン、製作してまいりました。ハワイ最大の品揃えを誇るオリジナルのコア製品の数々、エアルームボックス、ボール、ハワイアンウェポン、そしてパドルなど厳選されたユニークなデザインのコアジュエリーをお求めやすい価格でご提供しております。他にもニーハウシェルジュエリーやタヒチアンパール、シェル製品や陶器などローカルのアーティストによる素敵なメイドインハワイ製品も取り揃えております。ハワイならではのコアウッド製品を扱うハワイアンアクセサリーズで一生の思い出に残るあなただけの記念品をお選びください。アロハ。
オアフ島のおすすめのビーチをいくつかご紹介しましょう。ワイキキのビーチは実はいくつもの砂浜が連なっています。東からダイヤモンドヘッドに一番近いカイマナビーチ、西側にはデュークカハナモクの名のついたカハナモクビーチ。ワイキキビーチはかつて湿地帯と海の間に位置していました。やがて湿地帯は埋め立てられアラワイ運河となり、現在のようなリゾート地となりました。ここでは初めてのサーフィンレッスンやスタンドアップボード、スノーケルしたり泳いだりと何でも楽しめます。アラモアナビーチパークはホノルルで人気のビーチの一つ。とても穏やかな浅瀬の海で2キロのスイミングコースがあるため、泳ぐ人やスタンドアップパドルボートに乗る人も多く、家族連れがたくさん集まります。芝生の大きな公園もあり、週末になると家族連れでにぎわいます。花馬湾は自然保護指定公園で、市と州の両方で管理されています。透き通った海にはさまざまな海洋生物が住んでいます。もともとは火山のクレーターで、片側が海に浸食されてこの形になりました。何千万年も昔のことです。やがてクレーターに水が入り込み湾となりました。花馬湾はエルビス・プレスリーの一番有名な映画「ブルーハワイ」の撮影場所としても知られています。
Hi, Sasha here in Chinatown. Let's go for some food, fashion, and fun. We're here at Mauna Kea Marketplace, a must-see while in Chinatown. You'll find the most exotic fruits, vegetables, and everything in between. Let's go to one of my favorite boutiques.
White & Yale is a local design company. This is our first headquarters location, and we design dresses for women of all shapes and sizes and ages, things that are really sexy, versatile, comfortable, and overall just beautiful. Love this one. This is the ultimate sexy dress, kind of hides as well as accentuates.
Let's go get some lunch.
We're a brasserie, which means we're trying to emulate the cafes that you might come across if you're on vacation in France or possibly Italy, the bistro type things. We do a lot of French style dishes, so you're going to find the escargot, the bouillabaisse, things like that we offer here at Brasserie Duane.
We're here at the Tin Can Mailman, a great Hawaiiana store.
We have stuff that you're not going to find everywhere else to bring home to people. Vintage postcards, vintage jewelry, old pinups, some nice pottery. It's like the cool gifts you bring home to people. Next time you're in Chinatown, come back and see us again. We've got something for everybody.
I like to kick back and drink my favorite wine, which is J. Moss. This wine has got some vanilla, cherry, grapefruit. It's great every day, just kick back and drink wine.
Cheers to a day of food, fashion, and fun. Come to Chinatown every first Friday and join the party. Chinatown is easily accessible from Waikiki by bus and trolley.
Aloha vacationers. We hope you're having a wonderful time in paradise. Outrigger Resort Club by Wyndham can help you keep the fun going. Pick up a Hawaiian souvenir at our desk next to the Activities Center. Mahalo!
A lot of folks can't leave Hawaii until they've visited Leonard's. We're really known for malasadas. We started doing that at about 1953. My father, Leonard Rago Sr., started the bakery in this location on February 12th of 1957. A malasada is a Portuguese donut. It originated in the Azores off of Portugal. It's shaped into these little balls. They should be right around 2 ounces. Really quite interesting how they manipulate the dough. When you get good at it, which takes a while, they can make quite a few of them in a very short period of time. We have the original, which is just rolled in granulated sugar, the cinnamon, and then we have different fillings, which is called malasada puffs. We have a bunch of different flavors. I'm a pudding person. I love hapia, dobash, and they really are good. I love them filled. It's really cool because we are really happy to see people. We're just really fortunate that we started the craze.
ハワイアンアクセサリーズでは25年以上にわたり本物のコアウッド製品をデザイン製作してまいりました。ハワイ最大の品揃えを誇るオリジナルのコア製品の数々、エアルームボックス、ボール、ハワイアンウェポン、そしてパドルなど厳選されたユニークなデザインのコアジュエリーをお求めやすい価格でご提供しております。他にもニーハウシェルジュエリーやタヒチアンパール、シェル製品や陶器などローカルのアーティストによる素敵なメイドインハワイ製品も取り揃えております。ハワイならではのコアウッド製品を扱うハワイアンアクセサリーズで一生の思い出に残るあなただけの記念品をお選びください。アロハ。
The art of kakao nakauhi, the art of tattooing, has been part of Hawaii ever since the first Polynesians came here. I never started tattooing to become a tattooist. That might sound odd, but it's the truth. I started doing the work to perpetuate the culture and not necessarily to be a tattooist. It's played a vital role within our society because it indicates rank for certain individuals. It indicates the willingness to sacrifice oneself to a process. And that's the most important thing is to adhere to the cultural norms and the processes that was laid back thousands of years ago. It is not the people who are in the lower echelons of society that gets work done. Quite to the contrary, it's the people who are of the highest rank that has the most work done. This isn't about you, it's about your ancestors, it's about your children, it's about everybody that comes in that line. And you're just one small part of that. To actually have somebody lying in front of you and me doing the work recreates a scene that was done for thousands of years. And for me, that responsibility is both a blessing and a burden. There's very little in today's society that you can honestly say that this is exactly how it was 2, 3, 4, 500, 1,000 years ago. With this, you can say that.
My parents came here to Hawaii in 1929, and life was a little bit hectic, but good, and all was going very well until 4 years later, 1933, when I came along and blew the family budget. So.
The story of Outrigger's history is really an interesting one. It started as far back as our founders, Roy and Estelle, whose house was just up the street on Seaside and Lures, and they would literally rent the back rooms of their house out to visiting military folks. They then graduated to getting enough money to build a small apartment and rent it by the month.
So he built a group of apartments right down the street here on Kuhio Avenue, near the corner of Kuhio and Seaside. My father began to rent them out as hotel rooms by adding a little maid service.
And then they got enough money to build one hotel.
The Islander Hotel in 1947, which is a 5-story walk-up where the Waikiki theaters are now located. The whole family worked in there. My mother did the reservations. My father supervised construction. We had the kids. We were folding towels and serving pineapple juice to the tourists in the yard right next to the hotel.
And then they built another hotel.
In 1949, the property, the corner of Lures and Kalia and Beach Walk, had become available. It was sort of like an open garden area with a couple of cottages on it, and my father was able to acquire that, and that was where the Edgewater Hotel was first built, completed in 1951. These were very peaceful times, and the Halekulani was very low-key. Again, they were all low-rise 1- or 2-story apartments and wooden buildings, and it was a great time in Waikiki.
And pretty soon, Roy and his wife had built 16 hotels throughout Waikiki, and perhaps most importantly, they had redefined the class of customer that could come to Waikiki. They made Waikiki affordable to the masses, and their timing was excellent because as all of these hotels were opening, was the front end of jet travel for the world. And so almost the rest is history as to what it means for Waikiki. This property that we're standing on here today was really a series of buildings that had built over a lot of years, designed for a different market and a different time.
It used to be really a bedroom community for downtown Honolulu.
I was very familiar with Lewis Street. Worked in Waikiki, certainly had an opportunity to see what Lewis Street was all about. You know, it was really a hotbed of entertainment back in the 60s and 70s and beyond.
My very first job after college was working at the front desk of 2 hotels. I worked at the then Outrigger East Hotel and the then Waikiki Village Hotel. The Waikiki Village Hotel lobby was really right down from where I'm standing here. I literally walked this place every day for a long period of time and got to know it. Plus our founders actually lived on this site in one of the buildings over there, so we had a chance to visit them every once in a while. So I knew what this place was long before it is what it is today. Well, this development really started with the kernel of an idea that said we own a number of properties in this block. What is the best thing that we can do in order to make these older properties into something that would be special and last for the next generation? They were dated, frankly. Some of the buildings were obsolete. They needed renovation. So the notion was, how can we improve the properties that we own, and yet at the same time, can we do a development that will serve as a catalyst for the redevelopment and the reinvigoration of Waikiki? How can we create an attraction that is open and green and fun?
But I think the concept was if you allowed them to build up higher, you would create more area at the ground level that would be pedestrian friendly.
People are always hesitant about change, but you have to have a vision of where you're going to go.
Outrigger's plans were spot on, and it was going to make it a better place.
I remember the day they took down the Edgewater, because that was a real landmark occasion, because that really had been my parents' first hotel. So it all came together to make it possible to design the space as it is now, which is far more open, far more pedestrian friendly, and far more beautiful than it was back in the old days.
We took some properties, put new ideas on them, along with exciting retail to make the place happen.
We are maintaining and continuing the tradition of Hawaiianness and Hawaiian music right here in the center of. You're not in Acapulco, you're not in Cancun, you're in Hawaii, and it feels like you're in Hawaii.
We wanted to create an attraction where the tourists and the locals would be happy and comfortable together. And we're now known as a place where locals feel as comfortable as the tourists.
It's become the gathering place.
Outrigger has evolved quite a bit from the time when my parents operated and owned a single hotel on Seaside Avenue.
Certainly has continued that legacy of what the Kellys have been known for throughout the years.
But I think the most exciting thing for us was to actually be able to dream about a different vision. What we have done has really lifted all of Waikiki. We were able to put it all together and create what I consider a masterpiece for our community.
It's a very exciting project. Waikiki is one of the most exciting, vibrant, pleasant, enjoyable resort areas in the world.
Good for Outrigger, good for Waikiki, good for Hawaii.
Inspired by the art of the Pacific Islands.
Noa Noa. Noa Noa. Noa Noa. Noa Noa. Noa Noa.
Color and comfort.
Noa Noa.
Feel the spirit of Polynesia.
Noa Noa.
From morning to night.
Noa Noa. Noa Noa. Noa Noa. Noa Noa.
Always elegant.
Noa Noa.
There was a kind of a dichotomy in the ancient Hawaiian universe between the realm of people and the realm of the gods. The Wau Kanaka was the realm of people. Kanaka is a person in Hawaiian. And that was in the lowlands, next to the sea, next to your agricultural fields and your house. And the Wauakua, the realm of the gods, was in the uplands, where that which grew was not as a result of human effort. It was a result of a higher power. In ancient Hawaii, the protocols for entering native forests were pretty rigorous. You never went there really unless you had a really good reason to go there. One would leave the comfortable realm of people behind, enter into the realm of the gods essentially, and ask permission to enter. This would be accompanied by chant. So here we are up in the Ko'olau Mountains, which is the backdrop over Honolulu. And today we're going to be talking about Hawaiians and the natural world and the way that the natural world interweaves so tightly in Hawaiian culture. This is a koa tree. Koa is dominant, especially in the lowland mesic forest. Mesic is one of those words that means not too wet and not too dry. Koa loves those middle conditions. And this one's a fairly hefty one for the island of Oahu. It's those massive koa trees that form the hulls of the voyaging canoes. Koa is also the Hawaiian word for warrior. The fierceness and the steadfastness of a warrior is embodied in this tree. Just about every single native plant in the Hawaiian forest has a story about its use and its significance in Hawaiian culture. This is pukiave, and it's a native shrub. It's a heather, and it grows anywhere from low elevations like this all the way up to tree line at nearly 10,000 feet on the island of Hawaii. So it's a very versatile and hardy shrub. The wood of the pukiave is very flammable. in ancient times, and even to today, the ashes and the smoke of the pukiave are used to temporarily lower the status of high-ranking people. In ancient times, the Hawaiian chiefs would have what is called mana. It's called spiritual presence or power, and the pukiave was used to temporarily lower the mana of high chiefs in order for them to be able to interact with folks of different levels of spiritual power. We've run across one of the most famous trees in the Hawaiian flora. This is sandalwood. It was one of the first economic crops in Hawaii. One of the interesting things about Hawaiian plants is that they're usually full of pigments. This one might yield a really nice orange brown or yellowish brown dye. So I'm going to take some of these cuttings and see what I can make of it a little bit later. In Hawaiian thought, all of the plants and animals are the physical manifestations of thousands of gods and goddesses. This plant is called Naupaka kuahivi. Down at the shore, there's an ocean shrub with much larger, shiny leaves. That's called Naupaka kahakai. Kahakai means at the ocean side. So the Naupaka kahakai is the ocean equivalent, and Naupaka kuahivi is its counterpart here, way up in the uplands. In Hawaiian thought, the uplands are considered masculine and the ocean side is considered feminine. And so if you were going to ascribe a gender to this plant, Hawaiian tradition would say that this is the man and the woman would be the Naupaka kahakai down at the ocean. You can pick one of these flowers, rush down to the seaside, pick another flower from the ocean Naupaka, put them together and they'd be made whole again. Here we have pala'a. It's one of the favorites for lei making. For all its delicate features, if you pick the pala'a, it will maintain this fresh green look for days if you treat it right. The ohia lehua, which is the name of this tree, is named for its flower, the lehua. The lehua is the intensely red blossom of the ohia lehua tree. Ohia lehua is the dominant tree in Hawaiian wet forests. The blossoms are beautiful to look at, quite delicate though. This is the symbol of the volcano goddess Pele. And so if you're hiking in the forest, picking a lehua is actually a fairly dangerous thing to do. The ohia lehua is the main tree in Hawaiian wet forests, and so it's essential in our watersheds. Our watershed forests are why we have such high quality water in Hawaii. To either side of this trail are thick mats of uluhe fern. This is one of the most prolific kinds of native ferns that you'll find in Hawaii. It can form, a dense mat, a meter or even more in height. In Hawaiian thought, all of the plants and animals are the physical manifestations of thousands of gods and goddesses. There is a goddess Hina. Hina is the wife of Ku, god of war and governance. If you enter the forest with ill intent or with improper protocol, it's said to come and grow and surround you and you never leave the forest. Over here, we're literally just a few meters away from what was extremely rich and beautiful native forest. And we see the dark side of Hawaiian forest now. In an environment as benign as Hawaii, whenever you bring in a new species and it finds a niche that it likes, without its natural enemies in place, it can proliferate without control. It's a very sad thing, and it's one of the major threats to our native Hawaiian forests. I find myself, whenever I'm working in a remote area doing conservation biology, surrounded by the native plants and animals that I know had cultural uses by ancient Hawaiians and that still have powerful significance to me personally today. We're talking about an island system that had millions of years to evolve before the first people got here, the ancestors of Hawaiians. it stands on its own as a biological gem on the globe.
Aloha vacationers. We hope you're having a wonderful time in paradise. Outrigger Resort Club by Wyndham can help you keep the fun going. Pick up a Hawaiian souvenir at our desk next to the Activities Center. Mahalo!
We as the people of Hawaii are so engaged now in the knowing. We are practicing more of our culture and our traditions. We are exchanging a lot of ideas. There's no walls anymore, but many of us are now building organizations, being the examples for many of our people who have moved away, become transplant Hawaiians, to allow them to get involved once again as well. Hula does connect to male, the hula does connect to the female, hula does connect to the creator, hula connects to earth and sky, land, creatures, everything. Everything in our hula again goes back to life.
Back in the old days, the men were the first dancers, yeah? And I think the kumu hula back then were men. So, you know, it was later. I think that women became kumu hula.
Our ancient dance is an oral tradition.
They would speak to one another, then eventually they would start singing to each other, chanting to each other, and that's how their oli and mele started to come about. Chant or oli then became a very important part of life for them.
Kahiko, very simply, it is the ancient form of hula. It is the ancient way of dance. It is the ancient way of our poetry. And the movement of the hula really reflects everything in life, the elements, all the things that were created in nature.
Hand movements are very important. Hula is telling stories with your hands.
It is what we utilize with our heart and our spirit, and which allows us to move. It's all about the emotions and the characteristics of life and everyday life.
So a lot of it is just life itself.
The human body is insignificant to everything around us. Everything around us in our natural resources was here before man. That's something we always have to be mindful of. Always be aware of your surroundings, always observe nature. All of our lessons can be taught to us and how we're supposed to live as human beings if we only look at nature more often. There are implements that were actually conceived only for the hula. Anything outside of that wasn't conceived for the hula is considered a prop. The uli, the rattling feather gourds, the pu'ili, the split bamboo, ili, the river rocks, kakala'au, the sticks. We have the ipu, which is the single gourd, and we have the ipuheke, the double gourd. The ohe, the bamboo, the split bamboo sticks, they represent certain kinds of sounds that we hear in nature. Whether it be the rustling of the river and stream, or even a bird that chirps. It could even represent thunder, lightning, rumbling, things of that sort, crackling. But also the pu'ili, the split bamboo, is also quite vigorous and fast, and you can use it to create incredible dances. purpose of the skirt was because when you look at the mountains, the top of the ridge of the mountain, the ridge is that fine line of the ridge of the elastic or the rope. When you look at the valleys, that is all the flows of the skirt. Underneath the skirt, like the earth, it brings warmth, and when you begin to dance, everything underneath becomes heated and warm. There is a natural energy that comes with the ancient dances. It's when we can get rid of our human self and try to put ourselves in that origin, or to reenact what it is we're portraying in the dance. Hawaiians like to use metaphors, illusions, personifications, and hide their true meanings. Using plants, using water, using mud, using ferns, using the caressing of the mist, or being overwhelmed and being overwhelmed by the rain, being drenched by that. These are all poetical concepts that we use. Earth and sky. That alone is a 24-hour procreational concept. Everything evolves 24/7. That everything was created before man, that are considered to be traditional, hasn't been altered for generations. They are intact as they were passed down for many generations. When James Cook arrived, they also brought with them their Christian faith. And when they saw the hula being performed, they thought that what we were doing was heathen to some degree, and gave off the wrong kind of influence that they saw as being sinful. That caused a big uproar.
I know hula was stopped, so when the missionaries came, they felt the hula was vulgar. They saw it to be that way.
The gyrating of the hips and doing those kinds of movements, we didn't see it as distasteful. We saw it as a way of celebrating life. So we all ended up practicing the hula actually in hideaways and in caves.
They did it in hiding because they could not do it in the open. And then King David Kalakaua started to allow it at his many gatherings and parties. And so that's why we have the Merrimonic Festival in his honor, because he really revived the hula and brought it back to life.
Today, in the 21st century, actually the hula has revived itself in Waikiki. The Hawaiian essence of the hula, or the Hawaiian essence of the dance, is now being more perpetuated because people that come from afar will now understand what is truly Hawaiian.
Hey, Hakuchan, she followed really well.
There is a thing called classical hula. Hula awana is the modern dance. And there was a period actually that was called the hula ku'i. Ku'i meaning to add. There was a period where we were being influenced with westernized instruments and hymns and songs and music.
I would say that awana came about when they started to introduce the musical string instruments to Hawaii. Yeah, because in kahiko, it's just the pahu, the drum, and the ipu. When you get into awana, you then have the ukulele, the guitar, steel, piano, bass, all those musical instruments come into view. That's when Hawaiians started to just be more free in what they were doing.
Awana literally means to wander. So we wandered away from our root. But now with all of us traveling overseas and having the ability of having all this knowledge and wisdom to share, allows us now an opportunity to make sure that for the betterment of our culture, that we continue to engage in education and to engage in our compassion for our brother and our sister in our Hawaiian society, that the next generation will continue on these wonderful things that we have in our culture. Not just the hula, but the language, the healing, the medicinal plants, different types of words that help us to understand principles and characteristics. These are all happening today. So it is a good time for us now. We got tons of people speaking Hawaiian again. If that's not a success, I don't know what is. So I think it is certainly a good time for us to continue this engaging with our people all over the world.
The responsibility of a kumu is to continue to carry on the hula traditions.
So in the future of hula for Kahiko, we only can hope and pray that it'll remain very traditional and that everybody in the hula, whether they are kumu hula practitioner of the hula, has the ability to make good decisions. This is probably one of the most hardworking generations now, the generation that I'm in. And that's why I love, being where I'm at now, because many of us are out there teaching. Everything in hula, all our chants can tell us everything about morals, everything about ethics, everything about our daily life and how to tune into our resources and try to forget the cement jungle and the asphalt and technology.
When the visitors see the hula, they say, wow, so beautiful. But in reality, the hula is just not stand up and dance, For us, we believe that hula is life. You see, you smell, you taste, you hear, you feel. All of that is in hula.
And when people come in, even to our workshops and our classes here, they sit down and they quickly get involved just with the whole power of it, the whole spirit of it. If we can get that part across to our audience, the rest is quite simple in terms of engaging with our audience and getting them more involved, where they become a student or they become a supporter or they become someone who is inspired to learn and study more about our culture or even come more often to Hawaii. This is what the hula does for many people. We find people just crying because they love what they see. So when people get moved by certain kinds of dances or certain kinds of choreography, it brings out that kind of energy that is right for every person. They all get it differently, but the delivery is always the same. For us, hula is life because we can learn everything about our life through hula, because the oral traditions, all our ancient text, tells us everything about how we should live.
Hula is built on love, yeah? So when we hula, in teaching our haumana or our students, you don't come to hula to just be a robot and wind you up and you dance, yeah? Hula is something that's in your heart. Yeah, it's built on love. So you need to have this love for what you're doing, for what you're trying to express, what you're trying to bring across, and it's all from inside. You need to feel what you're doing and enjoy every moment.
But when the haumana, the student, gets on stage, their job is not to perform for their family or their friends. It's for their family and friends to take witness and give testimony to their good deeds and tasks as a hula dancer.
I think it's important that we pass it on, because if we don't, that particular legacy or hula tradition is then lost. I have 2 students that have been with me since day one, and I did sit them down and explain to them that in order for our legacy to continue, I will need someone to help perpetuate it and carry it forth, and they know that. And when the time is right, we will then sit down and talk about proper protocol. When the time is right, we'll be ready. They'll be ready, I'm sure.
Inspired by the art of the Pacific Islands.
Noa Noa. Noa Noa. Noa Noa noa. Noa noa. Noa noa.
Color and comfort.
Noa noa.
Feel the spirit of Polynesia.
Noa noa.
From morning to night.
Noa noa. Noa noa. Noa noa. Noa noa.
Always elegant.
Noa noa.
My name is Felicita Garrido. Today we're out here in Wailua. This aina here, our farm is called Namea Kupono, and you're here on the beautiful north shore of Oahu. This plant here is kalo, also called taro. It's an ancestral plant to the Hawaiian people. It is a plant that shows the connection of the origin of man. The legend goes that Wakea, Sky Father, had a child with his wife Ho'ohupukalani, and she was the daughter of Papa Earth Mother. But that firstborn child was stillborn. So they buried the child in the aina, in the ground, and from that child's grave, this plant, kalo, grew.
We're here, Wailua. We're going to harvest some kalo, some taro, wetland. So I'm just busting all the roots with my foot. We'll separate each individual plant. This is the makua, what we call the makua. This was what I planted last year. And then from this one plant, it had all of these children, keiki we call it, or oha. This is what we call kalo, or the corm, the taro. This is the ha, the stalk is the ha. And ha in Hawaiian also means breath of life, yeah? And this is the lau, the leaf. And this is the luau, the newest leaf that comes out. But to plant next year, what we'll do is, we'll leave like a 1/4 inch to a 1/2 inch of corm on the ha. And this is called the huli. And this is the seed that we'll plant, and that will become your next crop for next year. So what I'll do is I'll dry this out for a day, and then I'll put it into a new patch. And that's the harvesting process.
Hawaiians view the earth, the land, as a part of our family. And so therefore, when we are planting the kalo, we are continuing that relationship of we take care of the land and the land takes care of us. So this is the corm of the kalo, and we cooked it for 2 hours. And now what I'm doing is I'm going to do the first rough clean. I'm taking out the outer skin. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the knife, and in Old Hawaii they use the shells, the opihi shells, to scrape. But good way to practice our Hawaiian values of alulike, working together, kokua kahi, ike kahi, help one another. Okay, now we're going to go ku'i.
Here we have our kalo that we had cooked, steamed, that is ready to be pounded. This is our papa ku'i'ai. It's made out of a monkey pod. And this is our pohaku ku'i'ai, made out of stone. Pohaku is stone, ku'i is to pound, and ai is to eat, yeah? So papa ku'i'ai, pohaku ku'i'ai. Have some pieces of kalo. And then we don't really start pounding right away. What we want to do is we want to use the round part of the pohaku and smash it. So in the olden days, they would pound for like all day long, you know, to feed everybody in the village, yeah? Everybody would have their own job, and say your job was ku'i. This is what you would do all day long to feed your village or your family. And here we go. This is pai'ai.
It's our kuleana, our responsibility to make sure that we teach our keiki, our children of today, to walk humbly on the earth and treat the earth with respect, because the earth is what gives us life. The people of Hawaii, we are the kalo that are planted in this aina. And so we're the ones who have that kuleana to take care of the land, to preserve what we have, and to pass on to the next generation the treasures of Hawaii, so that Hawaii will continue to live.
I'm Makana, and here we are in my home, near Kaimuki. The style of guitar that I grew up playing is called Hawaiian slack key guitar. We call it slack key because, first of all, the way of tuning it. We slack the keys or loosen the keys into a chord. And the reason for doing that is by tuning the guitar to a chord, it frees up the hand so I don't have to hold a chord anymore. It allows the player's hand to be free to alter the sound. It's also a way of playing where the player simulates a bass, rhythm, and melody simultaneously. So in essence, slack key guitar is simulating 2 or 3 guitars on a single guitar. And when you listen to it, it sounds like that. It sounds very symphonic. It's a music that conveys the essence of Hawaii. And you could be sitting in a flat in New York or Tokyo or anywhere in the world and put on that Hawaiian song and it gives you a sense of place, a sense of feeling. Eventually in the 20th century, sometime around mid-century, the slack key guitar artists started to record. Of course, one of the most famous recordings is Gabi Pahinui singing Hi'ilave. As they began to record, as I mentioned before, the Hawaiian Renaissance came about of music and culture, and so this slack key guitar art form became adopted as a national folk art. And today, many of the masters have passed away, but the style is still alive, it's still thriving. Slack key guitar, when I was growing up learning it, was a very strict discipline. I was taught by the masters, and in order to learn it, there were certain things, certain disciplines that you had to acquire and master. So for me, playing Hawaiian music goes beyond just music. It goes into a realm of this eternal perpetuation of the pure essence of Hawaii. No matter what happens with the physical Hawaii, Hawaiian music always contains that spirit of Hawaii, and it's eternal. Yeah, it never changes, so it can always convey it no matter where you are or who you are. And that to me is magic.